Hey, Matt,
Hey, Jen.
what are you listening to this week? Welcome to season 5 of What Are You Listening To? The weekly podcast created to foster community through music by sharing the stories behind the songs that soundtrack our lives. Some of the songs are old, some new, all good. I'm Jenn Tully, and this week I'm joined by the co-host of the Super Awesome Mix podcast and co-founder of the Super Awesome Mix podcasting network, Matt Sidhom. Matt is my first guest on season 5, so we're going to get right into it. This week, Matt and I are going to chat about our summers through 4 songs. 2 are his picks and 2 are mine. We'll discuss blockbuster movies, local bands, and timeless summer jams. Which songs do you think we're going to discuss? Tune into our conversation to find out. And in case our song picks are new to you, we'll publish a playlist with the episode so you don't miss a beat. With that, let's get started. Matt, what are you listening to this week?
Well, Jen, first of all, let me just say I'm honored to be the first guest on season 5. I cannot believe season 5 of this show. Who would have ever thunk it? So
Right?
congratulations on that.
Thank
But my
you.
first pick is called Ain't No Love in Oklahoma by Luke Combs. And this is from the soundtrack to the summer blockbuster movie Twisters. So you probably heard this song during the trailer. I think they played it a lot.
Yep.
So I don't know how you feel about it, but I didn't love the original Twister. I thought it was kind of silly.
Yes.
Um, but my daughter had seen the preview for this one. She really wanted to go see it. And I love going to the movies anyway. So I'm like, sure, let's go check it out. And actually, I like this one a lot better than the original. Still a lot of storm chasing. The star of the show is definitely the special effects, but it's really, I think they do a better job in this movie of focusing on how devastating twisters can be in tornadoes and how suddenly they come on and they just ravage these small towns that they roll through. So there was actually a little bit more like of an emotional twist to it beyond just like, oh, my family was affected by this and then I became obsessed with storms or whatever Helen Hunt's story was in the original Twister. But yeah, the other cool thing about this is that the soundtrack is 29 songs long.
Wow.
And it's all these different country artists contributing a song to this massive soundtrack. And I got really fired up about that because one, they also like during the movie, they will feature a number of these songs. They don't go through 29 of them, but there are definitely montages with that particular song. So it was just kind of a throwback for me because I remember when the movie soundtrack was such a big deal. And it can only be found if you either bought the soundtrack or if you just watch the movie again, right? Like all these songs. So it really kind of, I don't know, there was a nostalgic feel just on that release of it. And if you like country music, I think you're going to like some of the songs on that soundtrack. But I went ahead and picked this one. It's really kind of more of a rock. It almost sounds more rock than country to me. Like I think a lot of Luke Combs does outside of kind of the twang in his voice. But anyway, it's a really good kind of summer jam and obviously summer blockbuster movie jam. And yeah, had to include it. And we've been listening to it a lot in this house.
Yeah, it was when I saw this, that's immediately what I thought of too, as I immediately associated it with the movie, which, around here in Austin, we call the Glenn Powell show because he's like local boy done good. So Glenn Powell is everywhere. If you need your Glenn Powell fix, just head on down to Austin. He's on every magazine cover. And I mean, and he seems like such a nice guy. And I would actually really like him a lot. And everybody that's ever even listened to the show once knows I love a soundtrack, right? I had it when I was a kid. It was the majority of music I collected. There was almost like not a soundtrack I didn't have. So I, like you, love a big like a ballad or an anthem that goes with a big tentpole summer movie. There's just nothing like it. I mean, I think of like Don't Want to Close My Eyes with Armageddon or like, some of
Yes.
those old like biggies. And that's kind of what this brought back for me. It felt like that. And I was like, when I saw your playlist, I was like, okay, look at what he's doing to me. First episode of season 5. He's daring me to say something nice about country music written after 1987. Like, You know where I was like, I don't know my Luke from my Brian's, from my Zach's, from
I
my
know
Combs. Like, I'm like,
there's a lot of that. Yeah.
I can't keep it straight. And so I was like, what's he done here? What are we going to do? And I listened to it and I was like, okay, now I understand what we're doing. Like, and that's immediately what I thought. I'm like, this song in the hands of like an Aerosmith or a Bon Jovi or like
Yeah.
some 80s like stadium rock band would sound like the same but different. Do you know what I mean? Like it just like
Yes.
because Luke Combs is singing it, it has a country twang. But if a rock god sang it, it would sound like a rock song, you know? So I
Yeah.
loved that the song was like that versatile too. It's that big that I think it really could be a whole lot of different things.
And it sounds like it's just written for the movie, which
Yeah,
I also kind of miss. You don't see that as much, just songs that are like, a lot of times, and we've talked about this with soundtracks before, where this is a song off my album and I'm just going to adopt it for this movie.
right.
It's like this very much is like, now, Luke, sit down. I'm going to give you a preview of this movie and just write what you feel, right?
Yeah.
And there were so many songs like that in the 80s. So I just really appreciated this. And yeah, I figured I was going to bring it. I was actually going to bring it on Super Awesome Mix, but then I was like, well, Sam was just going to really hate on it. And so I thought you would just hate on it less. I was
Right.
really just trying to
Hate
lessen
light.
the hate on this song. Yeah, I was like, she'll appreciate where it's coming from at least. Sammer will
Exactly.
just outright hate it. Yeah.
Exactly. Sammer's just like dead in the water when he sees ain't no love in Oklahoma. He's like, yeah, there's not. I'm good. Pass.
Yeah. He's like, that's wrong. That's why I'll never go there. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's why. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I mean, and fun fact for those that don't know, I'm actually from Oklahoma. That is where I was born and lived until I was 13 years old. And so I'm no stranger to a tornado. That's the other thing that I related to about this song is that I really, sometimes my problem with modern country songs is that the lyrics are just so ridiculous. I can't get my head around it. Like, I'm like, what are they talking about here? But I loved in this song, I thought that the wordplay was really kind of cool. Like where he says the scared of nothing and I'm scared to death. I can't breathe and I catch my breath. I got saved in the same red river trying to drown me. I was like, okay, I kind of like what he's doing there. Like, and
yeah.
for anybody that's an Oklahoma or Texas kid, like Red River is what divides the two. Once you cross over that, you're in one state or the other. So it did. I felt like it really fit the movie. I felt like it captured like some of the angstiness and the bigness and the feelings that you have when you're actually in a tornado. There were plenty of times we had to go down to the basement and the
Hmm.
sirens are going and it does sound like a train whistle. I think he references that in some point. Like I can remember
Oh,
thinking that as a
yeah. Yeah.
kid.
That's in the
Like
chorus. Yeah, for
it
sure.
sounds, it sounds like a train, even as like a
Yeah.
small child. That's what I thought. I'm like, it sounds like a train's running right over us. So I did actually enjoy the song for those reasons. And of modern country music, this was one that I definitely did not hate as much as others. How about that?
We'll take it. We'll take it. Yes.
Well, then you kind of go into a really different direction. I'm so anxious to talk about this next pick and learn how this ended up on your summer playlist here. Tell me what is going on, Matt.
All right, song 2 is a song called Beach Baby by a band called First Class. So, Jen, you say in the intro to this show, some of the songs are old, some of the songs are new, right? So I
I
kind of really
do.
took to that. I got a new song off a new movie, right? And then I just discovered this song recently. This is from 1974. And this is the only, like, I wouldn't even call it a real hit. It hit the top 20 in the UK and the US. It is very much like a bubblegum pop feel. Like that's kind of the genre it comes from. So it was mid 70s, but it'll really give you vibes from like the 1960s, maybe even the 50s a little bit, right?
Yeah.
But they're a British band, and I was listening to another podcast, and somehow they made reference to this song. So whenever someone makes reference to a song I've just never heard before, I'm always like, all right, let me go seek that out, right? And this one just kind of, for lack of a better term, just kind of sucks you in, and it's just like you get some horns in here and you get some harmonies, and it's just very listenable and kind of an earworm a little bit. and I thought it was just perfect for summer. That you listen to Beach Baby, and this song again. It's a British band, but they're writing about like California. The guy's
Yeah.
trying really hard to sing in like an American accent, but I don't think he does a very good job of it. But just kind of references like an old sweetheart in LA and remember how we used to be. So it's just this very kind of odd song, very odd even for its era, right? Like in 1974, I don't know if this really fits, let alone now. But I don't know, between the horns and the harmony, I feel like our friends, the Dusk Whales, who we just interviewed, I feel like
Yes.
they could take this on and probably bring it back
Yes.
a little bit. So I don't know, maybe because I was just getting way into the Dusk Whales and then this crossed my path. That's why I threw it on here. But yeah, just discovered this 50-year-old song, and I was like, all right, I'm into this. I'm gonna throw this out here to Jen.
No, I was really glad that you did, and it was funny because I have heard this song before. I was familiar with it, but I thought, like, just upon first listen, I was like, it doesn't sound like it. But I guess in my like childhood memory, I thought it was an early Beach Boys song. And
Yeah.
so when I was listening, I was like, wait, no, this isn't Beach Boys. I've listened to the Pet Sounds album so many times now that I'm pretty good in my adult age at identifying. I'm like, I always thought this was Beach Boys, but it's definitely not. So I started digging into and got some of the, that was not from 1974. I'm like, what were they doing in 1974 making this? This was an acid trip. Like this was something. Um, but I do have to agree with you that, you know what? I wrote this note down. It tells a cute, like, Swiftian kind of story, right?
Yes.
Like whenever
Yes.
he talks about the girl next door and her beat up tennis shoes, and I'm like, okay, this tells the same kind of story that like a Taylor Swift might, an early Taylor Swift. So I really I got into that part of it too. And just like the whole Southern California beach lore, like I love that. That was such a fun, magical time. And so I love all those old like 50s beach movies and stuff. And this just really conjured that for me. And I think that you can't hear a song like this and not think about summer. Like it just from the moment it starts, it's just a quintessential summer song, and it would fit on anybody's like summer jam playlist and be like, and I like the way it starts off kind of like they're tuning a radio, like I don't know if it's
Yes.
just this
Yeah.
version, but I was like, that's kind of cool. Like what's happening here? That was just a strange effect that I remember being used a lot, like in the 80s, that I hadn't heard in a while. And so that was kind of nostalgic for me too. And they do it at the beginning and then again at the end of the song.
Yeah, the full length version is like 5+ minutes, and the radio edit actually took it down to like 3.5. So there's a shorter version that I think probably drops some of the radio tuning and other effects, but I think it kind of loses the effect a little bit because once you kind of put it in the context of this is like a British band, it's almost like they're trying to maybe tune in from overseas, like some high
Yeah.
powered radio they might have had, and they come across this Southern California song, but. I don't know. I just thought it was like a really unique kind of wow. Even like I said, even for its own era, it was unique, and then certainly nowadays. But yeah, just a perfect little summer song.
Yeah, I thought so too. I really enjoyed it. It was a fun one to sort of like a palate cleanser, to kind of like keep it light after the heavy tornado song that's like so big and takes up so much room. I was like, okay, this is calming me back down. Well, and then too, like as we transition into my picks, like at first glance, I was looking at our playlist and I'm like, these songs have nothing in common. How are we going to like build this playlist? But then I was like, wait a second, like there is a through line to me. We have like a couple of like personal Americana life type songs, and then we have two summer jams from completely different eras. So I was like, okay, that's kind of interesting the way this ended up shaking out. So I did like that. And to transition into my first pick, this song has been on repeat for me since May, and this falls into that first category of like my Americana song here. You picked the big twister ballad, and I picked a local band. This is a band that's born in Austin and continues to play around here a lot, and they've just been one of my favorites all summer long. It's a song called Vision Boards by the band Good Looks. And this is from their first album from 2022, an album called Bummer Year. And definitely, it's got 7 songs. It's 30 minutes. It's worth the listen. I am obsessed with these guys. This is like another song to me too, where you can't necessarily pinpoint the time frame that it's from. I'll be interested to get your take on that, because I feel like this could be like a 60s psychedelic song just as easy as it could be from, a local band in 2022. So we always talk about that on the show, but I do love that, a song where you can't really pinpoint where it's from. It just feels timeless and good. So tell me what you thought. Was this a song you were familiar with? Did you know this band at all? Where did you land on this track?
No, totally unfamiliar going into it. I agree with you on sort of the kind of hard to pin down when it came out, just because it goes at lyrically, it kind of goes at these ideas of positive thinking and manifestation, right?
Hmm.
Which you hear a lot about today, but then you had like Norman Vincent Peale in the early 80s with like the power of positive thinking and stuff
Yeah.
like that. So that is something that has kind of, ebbed and flowed a little bit, like that sort of idea of manifestation. And in this song, it kind of goes the opposite way, where it's like, this is not working for me, right? Like things are not going this person's way. And even the title of like vision boards, right?
Yeah.
That type of thing. And so it's really like, I felt like this song was a little bit of an emotional roller coaster, because you can clearly hear the frustration at the beginning, and then it's kind of I'm doing the best I can here, and then you finally kind of, I felt like there was a big reveal at the end, which is this: I'm not deserving of your love. And so it was really about this. The whole thing was about this relationship, right? So it almost starts out, when I was listening to it, right, as I'm just frustrated with where I am in my life, right? And then it kind of evolved to like, this is why I'm having trouble in this relationship, sort of thing. I don't know. It was kind of an interesting song. I mean, anybody who's listened to me on the main show or this show knows I keep it pretty positive when it comes to like music or anything. And so I've read a lot of those positive thinking and manifestation type books, right? I love that stuff. But at the same time, it's like, I totally get where this person's coming from. It almost had like, thematically fit in with like, I'm gonna bring it back to the boss, like dancing in the dark, right? Like the frustration from a song like that. So yeah, I don't know. I enjoyed it in the end, even though it was this kind of like emotional adventure.
Well, I definitely agree with you about the emotional roller coaster of it. And this is the way, it's so funny. This is like where this is my jam to get into these kind of conversations, because for me, the song is not about a relationship at all. It's literally about what he's saying. It's about his art. Like he cannot make ends meet. Like, and I think that's one of the other things with people that, this movement and talking about manifestation and things like that, they make it seem so easy, right? Like all
Hmm.
you have to
Yeah.
do is be positive and build this vision board, and like things will magically happen for you. And the reality is, I do believe that. I do believe that there's no, like, if you have a choice to be positive or negative, you're always going to get better results being positive.
Hmm.
Um, and I think there are very real moments that we all have where we're like, what am I doing? And that's where I think, from that very opening line when he says, if the answer's in yourself, well, the failure is your fault. Like
Hmm.
he's like taking this immense amount of ownership over this art that he loves. And then he goes into, just the struggle of it. 2 drink tickets at the bar. I get 10% of sales, making money from my art. Man, it's just not working out. Like he's very real about it. And then he even just like shouts a few times, get out, get out, get out. Like he's thinking like, I'm going to just phone it. Like I'm going to be an accountant, like my parents are
Yeah.
clearly not happy that I'm a struggling artist, and then he, kind of pleads his case to his parents, and he pleads his like place to God, like please, like I think he's really like struggling. And then at the end, he finally triumphs, because he says, and to the voice inside my head, shut the fuck up, because I tried my best and I'm not listening. And then that closing out line is actually, I am deserving of your love. That's what he says. So it's not, I'm not. He says,
Yeah.
I am deserving of your
uh,
love. So the whole song ends with him just sort of realizing, like, you know what? I'm going to keep doing my art because I am just like, I'm worthy. Like people can love my art and they can love me and I'm deserving of this, you know? And so I felt like that was the emotional roller coaster for me, was that you kind of start at this really dark, heavy sense of ownership with, you know, if the answer's in yourself, then the failure is your fault. And I think when you're creating art or you're making music or doing something deeply personal like that, it would be really hard to untangle that. Like when I have musicians on the show, I often ask them that, like, how do you process that when somebody doesn't like something very publicly that's very internal and personal to you that you've chosen to put out there? That seems like so scary. And so I think I just loved the really head on, direct, real way that he was dealing with all of that in this song. And again, living in Austin, which is a town like full of musicians and a lot of them really, really talented. I think that it's almost part of the culture here, you know, like without struggling artists, Austin wouldn't be Austin. And so this song felt really relatable too, from like the standpoint of living in such a music focused city where you see artists make it big and you see artists struggling every day.
Well, and the difference between those artists sometimes is negligible, right?
Yeah.
And we've talked about this with kind of building a podcast. It's We think we're pretty good at this, but you know, we're not Jason Bateman, Will Arnett, and Sean Hayes, where we just have a built-in 10 million people who are ready to tune into anything we say, right?
Right.
And so where is that kind of tipping point that you're going to find that all of a sudden takes you from local band in Austin to we're playing stadiums across the country, right? Like what is the difference there? And I'm sure there's a lot of artists out there, just like there's a lot of podcasters out there and who, you know, whatever people are doing, that look at somebody who's uber successful and going, yeah, but they're not very good at X, or they're not very good at Y, like whatever it is. And it was just something along the way that sort of, you know, created a fork in the road and created this different path for that person and kind of sent them. And it doesn't mean that that's not ahead for anybody out there, right, who's building something. It just hasn't come across them yet, right? So yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people could probably relate to that type of frustration and seeing what else is out there. And like you said, whether you're in Austin, whether you're wherever you are and you've got a podcast or whatever it is that you're building, whether it's a business or art or whatnot. Yeah, I think everybody can kind of, this is a very relatable song, even though I wish it were, like I said, like, I guess it did get more positive there at the end. I guess I missed that part. Maybe I was getting bogged down in what I was kind of listening to the whole time. But yeah, anyway, it's a good song. I really appreciated it.
Yeah, I like these guys a lot, and I think that this album is certainly worth a listen. So definitely look into these guys. And Good Looks is the band, Bummer Year is this album, and then they have a newer album that I think they released earlier this year. So they're a fun one to dig into if you're looking for something a little new. And then we're going to round out the playlist with the song that I've had on repeat. This has been my beach baby all summer long as well. Like, this one I love. I'm also in love with this album. The song is Birds of a Feather by Billie Eilish, from her Hit Me Hard and Soft album that came out in May. I was blown away when I heard this song. I couldn't believe it was Billie Eilish, except that her voice is so beautiful and amazing, and her brother's producing is just out of this world. Like, you know, we talk about blood harmonies and things like that a lot when we talk about siblings working together. These two have that in the form of, like, you know, producer and singer songwriter. Like, they are magic together. Like, Phineas O'Connell and Billie Eilish, just I think they're magic, and I can't wait to see how she continues to grow and evolve as an artist, because I think that this album, although lyrically it's still kind of dark, like, you still get that Billie Eilish edge, you know, even in this song, which sounds so light and bubbly. You know, there's talk of death and caskets and, you know, like yes. Typical Billie Eilish fare. But I still love that it's such a bright, fresh take on this new relationship. And so this song, just, I again have had it on repeat. Just, it's so deep and kind of dark and moody, like Billie Eilish lyrically, and then sonically it's so poppy that it works really well together for me. What did you think of this one?
Yeah, the light and poppy part was really the surprising part for me, right? When I listened to this, just because it was so that's so different for me from, everything I think most people know of Billie Eilish. And, you used the word Swiftian earlier talking about Beach
Yeah.
Baby. And this was almost like, a Billie Eilish filter on a Taylor Swift song, right?
Yeah.
Because this is definitely much more of that, relatable. If you're not really listening to the lyrics and you're just kind of listening to the beat and kind of the tone of her voice, you wouldn't think there was anything dark about this song, right? But there is an obsession involved in this relationship, and probably a little bit of a codependency, maybe. But yeah, does get a little bit dark, a little bit heavy there, certainly lyrically. But yeah, this was such a I would say nice surprise, because a lot of times when I see Billie Eilish coming up, I'm like, okay, what's this gonna be? Sometimes. Um, I feel like she can be a little mumbly sometimes when she's singing, right? And
Mm-hmm.
this isn't that at all. So, I mean, kudos to her for evolving. You talked about, like, you can't wait to see how she continues to evolve, and I think this is a good example of that. That it's like she's done albums like that before. It's almost like you see a little bit of this with Lana Del Rey, where
Right.
her early stuff, I was like, I'm not sure if I get this, and then she just started to evolve, and she's still making music, but now it's just like different, and you can really hear her voice more than I think you could on those early albums. And to her favor, I think those are getting more popular for her, um, as well. But I mean, I don't know if you can get more popular than Billie Eilish is already, but
Right.
I think this is going to reach some new fans.
Yeah, I think so too. And it was funny, again, just like a quick story before we wrap it up. But we were traveling this summer, and we were in Ireland, and this song came on, and we were in a store, and I was singing and kind of bopping along. And I looked over, and one of the girls that was shopping was kind of singing and bopping along. And the guy behind the counter was singing and bopping along. And we all three just looked at each other, and we were like, this is the song. Like, have you guys listened to the album? And we had this like mini conversation. So this American, this Irish guy that was working there, and a girl from Germany were all like loving and singing the same words. And like, it just, that's the magic of music to me, that three people from a completely different country that never would have met normally, we're able to have this really cool, happy moment over a song. It just brings it home. It's why I listen. It's why we do the podcast. It's why we share pics and stories behind them, because I think it just connects in a way that's so universal and so easy. You don't have to work at it. It's like there was no language barrier. There was nothing, because we were all relating to the song. So that, I feel like, is a really great way to close out this first episode of I Can't Believe I'm Saying It, season 5. That is insane to me, and I'm so grateful to you and Sammer for allowing me to continue the show for this mini seasons. And again, that little moment I had in Ireland was sort of the whole reason why this is important to me, and I know important to all of us. So, Matt, thank you so much for joining me for my first episode back from summer break. I really loved, like I said, being challenged with a hard-hitting, brand new country track right off the bat. You pulled no punches.
Well, you got to keep stepping your game up. So that's what I'm
Right.
here for, to make sure that you just kind of level up season by season. Yeah.
Right. You're like, Jen, how you're talking about Billie Eilish evolving. We need to see a little evolution from you, girl.
That's right. That's right.
I'm like, I promise every third episode I'll bring some dipshit country track. No, I'm just kidding. Oh, we love all the music. We love all the music. Well, listeners, please be sure to follow, download, and share the show. And if you love listening, please drop a review on Apple or Spotify for us. And definitely, to stay informed on all things Super Awesome Mix and What Are You Listening To, be sure to follow us on Instagram at Super Awesome Mix. Thanks for listening, and please join me again next week to find your new favorite song.